Hi everyone, Katie Sutton here, Intuitive Channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your April 2024 energy update. I've got 4 themes that I want to share with you this month. The first is seeing clearly. The second is finding peace within. The third is role reversals. And the fourth is healing the self-abandonment wound. All right, heads up, buttercups. April is coming in hot. This is my birthday month. It's always a big month for me, but man, we have Mercury retrograde on April 1st. We have a solar eclipse on April 8th. We have all kinds of crazy astrological stuff going on, and this is a huge month of transformation and change. And I know I say that all the time, but gosh, this month feels dynamic and powerful, and anything can happen. So let's dive into the energies of the month of April. So the first theme that I want to talk with you all about is seeing clearly. So I'm going to be teaching about family in my New Earth Relating course in April, and one of the themes that's been coming up is being able to see our dysfunctional family patterns clearly and choose if we want to continue to be a part of those dysfunctional family patterns. And for you all that are not in that course, that might be working on this on a global level or a collective level, what I'm seeing is that this theme of seeing clearly is about looking at all of the kind of dysfunctional patterns that we get roped into as humans and seeing them clearly with a lens of neutrality, where we can make a decision instead of going to battle with it or fighting against it. We can say, I see that's a pattern that's running on this planet that a lot of people are subscribing to, a lot of people are choosing that way of being, and it doesn't work for me, and I'm going to choose something different. So there's a little bit of a rebellious quality here in seeing things clearly and being able to discern, is this something that I want to play into? And I'll give you an example of this energy. I'm having a lot of conversations with people who are in the corporate workforce in their early 20s, and they're seeing that the way that corporations make a lot of money at the top and they don't get very much of that, and they're working their butts off and they're not feeling fulfilled and happy. They're seeing through that illusion, and they're starting to make decisions on how they want to orient differently into the workforce. And what I'm witnessing with this is that a lot of us were conditioned that success looks a certain way and that happiness looks a certain way. And that's some of these dysfunctional patterns that we're going to be clearing. We're going to be really looking at these templates, these patterns that we've been given of how we want to orient into our adult bodies and saying, yeah, that doesn't work for me anymore. This isn't the way I want a human on this planet. And as we see these things clearly, one of the things that can get triggered with this is that there's a little bit of fear that gets activated and a little bit of chaos that gets activated, because when we have oriented towards something as a sense of stability that is outside of us, like a system or a way of being or a pattern that we were raised in or a program that we were given from our parents, when we start to shake those things loose and see that they may not be all that we thought that they were, that creates a little disruption in our energy field, a little chaos in our energy field. And that's eclipse energy. As we're moving into Mercury retrograde and moving through this eclipse portal, we're going to be asked to really step back and take a look at everything that's happening in our lives and decide if we want to keep carrying that forward. Is this something that we want to keep living in? And so I really see this as a zooming up and out of our entire life and looking at these places where we are hooked into things that are just not working for us and making different decisions and orienting differently. And in April, especially the first part of April, you may find it a little challenging to actually make the change, and that's okay. Wait until we get through Mercury retrograde, which is like the 3rd week in April, to really try to orient into new ways of being, but just start to see things and question things and be in a place of curiosity of, do I really need to keep subscribing to this, or can I let it go? Okay, so that's the first theme. The second theme kind of plays off of that. So when we begin to see things through a new lens, like a new perspective, it shakes up a lot of the ways that we were orienting in our reality. And that chaos can make us sometimes want to go outside of ourselves and seek safety and seek stability and keep us from making change and keep us from having new beginnings. And so the second theme is finding peace within. what I see happening in the month of April is that we are going to really have to find that stable center inside of ourselves and drop really deeply into that and trust that if there is something that is not working for us and that's creating some fear and creating some chaos, we do not need to go outside of ourselves to find that stability. We can find that stability within. That peace is our birthright, that we can find that peace inside of ourselves and we can orient into that place of stability so that whatever changes we need to make as we move through April and into May and the later months of the year, that we can do so in a very measured, almost controlled and methodical way where we're not creating more chaos for ourselves than we need to. And so this theme of finding peace within is going to ask us to call all of our energy back, which we worked on last month in our theme around coming home. Call all of that energy back, ground deeply into our truth, deeply into our being, and exist in that space of peace regardless of what's happening outside of us, okay? And we want to cultivate what peace and stability means to us. What do we desire in our life that would look like that peace and stability? And can we create that as a template from inside of ourselves so that when we begin to relate to others, we can also claim that level of peace in relationship with other people and other systems and other structures? Everything that you see outside of you that represents chaos and confusion and fear is a reflection of something on the inside of you that needs attention. And so instead of going outside of yourself to try to control and put expectations on other people of how you need them to be in order for you to feel safe, can you go inward and can you look at all of those scared parts, all of those parts that are lacking stability, shore it up so that you can feel safe and secure inside of yourself. I see that this finding peace within is going to really allow us to step out of expectations that we have of other people where we're needing them to orient in a certain way in order for us to feel okay, which is a really dysfunctional pattern that a lot of us have as deeply feeling empaths who existed in family dynamics that were quite unsettling. We thought that we needed to make everybody else okay in order for us to be okay because that was true for us as children. So if that is a theme for you from your childhood where you had a lot of chaos and a lot of trauma happening around you and you didn't feel safe and secure, your number one thing that you need to work on this month is pulling out of needing everybody else to be okay in order for you to be okay. Can you cultivate that peace within? And this might look like you taking steps, making changes to your routine, changing how you're caring for your body, changing the things that you're doing so that you can activate that peace. Holding those boundaries, being in discernment. This is really a month, especially in this eclipse window at the beginning of the month, where whatever we anchor into is what we're going to get more of for the next 6 to 12 months. We have another eclipse window coming later in the year. And so whatever we anchor into here in April is what we're saying yes to. So be really clear on what finding peace within looks like for you and say yes to that in whatever way you can. Affirm it this month. The third theme is role reversals. And it's interesting. Every time we have an eclipse window, there is some level of polarity clearing that I see that we go through. We clear some shadow stuff, we bring some things to light, we bring in a new timeline, we bring in a new beginning. That's what eclipses are all about. This one is very interesting. So as I'm working with my male-bodied clients, what I am finding is that they are needing to drop deeper into their capacity to feel and be in their emotional space and be in their feminine. And they're needing to do that by creating space for the parts of them that they have compartmentalized or pushed off because they were deeply feeling or wounded, and bring those forward and validate and love and hold and care for those parts and see those emotions that those parts have. And in that validation, allow that part of them to mature and to grow into a divine masculine energy, if you will. And so they're looking at their inner child and working with them and seeing them and loving them and bringing in that kind of nurturing, almost mothering like energy to those wounded masculine parts. With my female-bodied clients, what I am witnessing is that it's the opposite. There has been a tendency for us to have a hard time creating stability and being in our masculine and being in this place of safety where we don't have to come from that emotional lens in order to be heard and seen. And so what I'm seeing with my female-bodied clients is we're going to be working on anchoring our divine masculine through strength and stability and resilience, and being in a place where we can get out of the driver's seat a little bit and be supported and receive to a greater degree. And so there's an amplification of our divine masculine energy internally, which is going to allow our feminine vessel to expand. And for my male-bodied clients, what I'm seeing is that there's an amplification of their feminine energy that's going to allow their divine masculine to expand. So that's really the dynamic that I am seeing here with this kind of role reversal. So if you're in partnership and you have typically been the feeler, you might be the stable protector this month, and vice versa. So if you were the stable protector, you might be the feeler this month. So look for places where you've been orienting in one way and things are going to reverse. This can also happen completely internally in the way that you are working through something. Maybe you've had a certain approach where you've gone to battle with something, or you've been trying to force something into submission. You may find in the month of April that's not working for you anymore, and you need to completely shift it and reverse it and come at it from a place of love and a place of compassion. So just pay attention to the things that you're struggling with in your life and how you're approaching them, and be open to the possibility that your entire approach to dealing with that might need to turn on its head. These are kinds of like lightning bolts of clarity that I see coming in these role reversals. And I think it's interesting because I'm hearing a lot of chatter on the interwebs about the solar flash and pole reversals and all these different things. And it's interesting to me that this role reversal theme is coming in, and I'm seeing all these people talk about the earth poles reversing. I think that we're doing that internally. We are taking things that we thought that we understood through one lens and completely flipping it on its head, bringing in a new perspective. I find this to be really exciting. I think this is when we find breakthroughs where we've been struggling with something and we just are so done being on that struggle bus. This is a month where I think we can get a brand new perspective and we can flip everything on its head. Very exciting. And that takes me to our fourth theme. And this theme of healing the self-abandonment wound is what we're going to be working on in our healing circle this month, because I do feel like it's super important that we start to move out of this place of abandoning self. And so on April 10th, we'll be working with this healing the self-abandonment wound theme in our healing circle. And this energy is about us looking at all of the ways where we abandon ourself and abandon our truth in favor of supporting others. And this is a caretaker wound. This is where, going back to one of our earlier themes around that finding peace within, this is where we have stepped out of ourselves and tried to create control and safety for ourselves by doing what everybody else wants us to do and abandoning our truth. And this is a deep wound for a lot of us. When I look at all of the places where I've had a disease process in the body, or I've had something major that I've worked through, there has been some level of self-abandonment that has created the possibility for that dysfunctional energy to take hold in my field. And so this month, we really need to be aware of and pay attention to the places where we are stepping out of honoring ourselves in favor of honoring something else or someone else. And I also see, and we'll do this in Healing Circle, we're going to go back into our timeline and work on all of those places where we have self-abandoned. And we have to do this with love and compassion, because it can be really easy to get down on ourselves and bring in guilt and shame and anger and frustration with ourselves that we have heard what we needed to do and not done it, right? We've abandoned ourselves out of a desire for comfort because we are maybe avoiding conflict. where we've abandoned ourselves because we didn't think we were powerful enough to be in our truth. Whatever those reasons are, we're going to need to go back into those moments in our timeline in the month of April and really apologize to those versions of ourselves and love on those versions of ourselves and forgive the part of us that was in denial of self. And that's going to allow us, I think, to bring in a template of how we want to orient in our family units and in our soul family units and in our relationships, where we can take care of self and also have the capacity to be there for other people, right? I really think that it's time for us to get out of this belief that taking care of us is self-centered and selfish. Everything in balance, right? When we push ourselves beyond our limits and when we abandon our own needs because somebody else needs us more, we are never giving them our fullest expression. We are giving them a watered down version of ourselves. And so this is a month to really pull out of that dynamic. And this may be challenging, right? You may find that there are a lot of places where you are abandoning yourself. And that might make you sad, that might make you angry, and you're going to have to process those emotions, and then you're going to have to make different choices. And sometimes that idea of making a different choice can feel really hard and really Herculean, but this is a month. This is a month to do it. Because as I said, with these eclipse energies, everything that we put our focus on is going to expand. So if we put our focus this month on expanding our capacity to love ourselves and take care of ourselves, guess what we're going to get more of as we continue through 2024 and as we move towards the later eclipse portal in the back half of the year. Okay, so that's this energy of healing self-abandonment that I really want you all to focus on, and we'll be working on it in our healing circle as well. This is an amazing month for transformation. I believe that you can tap into these energies and you can create a calm, peaceful center within you, and you can make some decisions this month that are going to propel you throughout the rest of the year. This is that wild card month where I think anything is possible. And yeah, Mercury is going to be retrograde, and that means that we're going to have to finish up and tie up some loose ends, and we're going to have to be careful about communication and signing contracts and all of those things. But don't let that derail you from these other themes that are present this month. Being able to see clearly through the dysfunction and step out of those patterns, right? Being able to find that peace within, being able to see another perspective of something and turn it on its head, go into that role reversal energy, and then also being able to take care of you and stop abandoning self. Those are the 4 themes of April. I think that they will serve you really well. Bring some attention to them, journal about them, bring them into your self-healing practices. You've got this. It's going to be a great month. All right. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Check out the healing circle that will be linked below this video. I also have a women's day retreat called Alive in the Feminine, Celebrating You in Concord on May 4th with my friend Ruthie Cohen Joyner. You can learn more about that below this video. We have an ecstatic dance event called Soul Song Sessions in Huntersville on April 27th. And there's so many other amazing things that we're going to continue to offer as we move through the year. So sign up for our newsletter and subscribe to our page so you don't miss any updates that we have. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great month, everyone. Bye-bye.